War is afoot. What's up, Doom Nation? We are back once again with another Doomed review and this week's installment of the House of Dragons. Scagz, what's going on, buddy?
Not much, man. I'm ready to go. Late night. Here we are doing a service for Doom Nation to give you our thoughts on the latest installment, episode 4. It is now basically 4.5 years after the first episode as well. Yep. So that's kind of where we're starting off here. We missed last week. We missed last week. We were a little bit busy where, Daemon basically won the war in the Stepstones, killed the crab feeder. That's where this picks up.
The only thing I would like to say is, what an awesome fight scene of Daemon just taking on an entire army. But we missed the battle against the Crab King.
Yeah.
And he comes out sliced in half, covered in blood. Come on.
Yeah.
Fucking robbed us.
Yeah, I get it. It would have been cool to see. Still was cool regardless.
Yes, it was.
So yeah, this episode picks up after that. Daemon returns to King's Landing on his dragon. It's a little bit of a tense scene, right? We don't know how it's gonna go. We see he walks in, he's fully armed, he's wearing a crown of his own. And things don't go, I guess, the way most people probably thought they would go. He actually kneels, and he pledges his allegiance, I guess, back to King Viserys and turns over his crown. And they kind of, get back together and work things out.
I guess King Viserys is a good king because he's not this ruthless warmongering psychopath. But when you're not this ruthless warmongering psychopath, you get taken advantage of those around you. Because clearly once, the show kicks off, we're like, oh, wow, okay, Daemon is kneeling. He showed up with the crown on. So it was kind of like, what is he? Is he taunting him? And then you watch throughout the episode, they play Viserys again. You know what I'm saying? He's a good king, but I don't think I think the lack of ruthlessness is what allows people to do these things behind his back.
Maybe he's definitely a different king than we're used to.
Yes.
We've seen throughout all of Game of Thrones, right? We're seeing a guy sit in the chair who is sort of morally just in a way, and he's not trying to play that awful game that everybody else plays. For the most part, we never got a person sitting in the Iron Throne besides Ned, who sat it for 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Who was trying to do the right thing at all times. It seems to be what King Viserys is trying to do. So Daemon comes back. He and Rhaenyra decide to go for a night out on the town.
Yes, let's get some drinks.
Yeah, Friday night, fucked up Friday in King's Landing. Yeah. They go see a show. They have a couple drinks, like you're saying, and then things get weird.
Yeah. Shit's about to get weird. I guess you read it in the book. I was taken back. These Sunday nights, it's difficult because you have a full weekend, you end up dozing off here and there. But boy, I was wide awake for that scene. That was quite interesting and disgusting. And it's funny because the end result though is still no better. It's you want to bang your uncle or your cousin? You tell me.
Or your 2-year-old brother.
Yeah. That was a weird scene. And then the second she got into it, he was out. He's like, oh, you like this? Nah, I'm not with that.
Yeah, it was really weird. It was a bit too dark. I'm going to criticize the show for that. The whole them walking.
They can't get the lighting right, man.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what that is about Game of Thrones. So yeah, it was weird, right? As soon as he kind of gets what he wants, a reaction out of her and some, she gives it back to him. He just bounces.
Yeah. I think because he's not in control. I think he was going to enjoy more, I guess, raping her, this is straight out of the Biden household. Here I think he was gonna get more excitement out of her not wanting it and him still doing it. But like once she was like into it, he was like, nah, I'm out.
I think the show is trying to confuse us maybe and like try and convey like what are his intentions here? Is he trying to like like spoil her as a princess? Does he really like her? Even, is he gonna like murder her in this dark alleyway?
Yeah.
I think that's what the line they were trying to like walk there, tightrope walk in a way. That's a vibe I kind of got from what they were kind of trying to do. I think later on, yeah, I think the scene later on though kind of gives his motivations away. No, he wants to marry her.
Yeah.
Right. And I think the show has been alluding to that since episode 1, where he was with that that woman in the pleasure house, and he wanted a silver-haired woman. He gave her the necklace, which the episode started off with her touching the necklace. Right. So I think ultimately Damon does want to marry Rhaenyra and they be king and queen.
Right. Do you think there's this little wokeness to the idea? What's the queen's name? I don't want to fuck it up. Alicent, where they keep talking about how like women are political pawns. That's it. You get married, it's your death sentence. You pump out heirs just like Rhaenyra's mother did until you die.
No, because that's what Game of Thrones is and has always been, and has always been referenced in the books and in Game of Thrones the show.
Fair enough.
Catelyn Stark mentioned it multiple times. It's part of their culture. That medieval
fair enough
culture custom. Even even other shows we've watched that are medieval shows have referenced stuff like that. I thought at the same time there was kind of like another scene going on too between Alicent and King Viserys where this episode really like kind of slowed down, and it felt really long too. I don't know, these episodes feel a lot longer than Game of Thrones episodes.
Well, that's what happens when you don't half-ass it, and
yeah, right. Yeah, I guess so. And there's like meaty stuff going on, like drama, love, storylines. The sex scene between Alicent and King Viserys, I thought was also interesting. It was gross, right? It was gross, but it was contrasting Daemon and Rhaenyra, and now it's the same thing, right? You're seeing them have sex, and you're seeing her face, and she seems to like not be interested whatsoever.
Yeah,
which is leading me to think like, is she also playing him, or like just like I'm thinking like, is Daemon playing Rhaenyra? Like, you can never just kind of. That's what's great about Game of Thrones, the way you don't really know what people's motivations really are.
Daemon makes the good point of. Oh, I forget how he started it, but he was like, you get married to who you want, but you get to fuck who you want too. Right. You know what I'm saying? So like, excuse my language, Doom Nation. Sorry, I'm being a little vulgar, but I mean
it's Game of Thrones,
and that's I kind of think oh god, what's her name again? The
Alicent.
Queen? Alicent, there we go. Alicent is realizing that for herself too. Because she's in the background of all the drama. She's overhearing all the stories unfold, and she's going to Rhaenyra and asking her, did you bang your uncle and stuff like that, and she has to fulfill her queenly duties and sleep with the king, even though he's this old infectious man, literally falling apart at the seams. He's got, remember in episode 1, it was that one little spot on his back. Now he's missing fingers. He's got shit all over his body. She still needs to sleep with him. It ain't that exciting anymore.
Yeah, definitely. Right. I think that's also, they're trying to maybe convey that message. I just love how you don't really know for certain. Like, is she like, trying to get at him, or is that what it is? Right. Is it just that he's just this old gross man now on top of her?
Yeah.
I really do like plotting? The vibe and the feel the show has been giving of like princess drama, but doesn't feel corny at all in any way. Like them standing in the courtyard and having the discussion and her going out. Remember, Rhaenyra is a princess, has been probably like pampered and whatnot her entire life, has never gone out in the night out in the town of King's Landing. I thought the show's done a good job at like portraying that sort of thing without it being corny or feeling like, I don't know, like a Disney princess story or something.
Right.
It feels like Game of Thrones, where you're getting like high school princess drama at the same time.
And it's not bad. We always talk about like, we don't care that the main character is a woman. just give us a good
Story's
story.
great.
And they're
Exactly.
giving us a good story. You could even say Damon is a supporting role, and Damon's not a simp. He's the greatest warrior. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Rhaenyra is
and
the main character of the
yeah,
show, correct? Yeah.
and we still have a badass chick who has actual drama and is figuring out her fucking life. It may
She's
not be what the king wants, but it's not this woke bullshit of, I'm the better Hulk type
right,
crap.
right. Or I'm Galadriel. I'm now the
Yeah.
the warrior king. Yeah, it's building up to a great character, right? We're seeing the building blocks be
Yeah.
laid for Rhaenyra.
And then
Um,
let's get into my favorite part is what's her guard's name?
oh, Sir
The black.
Kristen Cole, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
Sir Kristen. She finally bangs him, and everybody knew whether you read the book or not. Like episode 1, you were like, those two are gonna do something. And he reluctantly does it. He's like, this is against my oath. And she takes off like one piece of armor. He's like, sold. I'm
Yeah.
in.
I mean, not to get graphic or anything, but I don't know how can any man resist a Targaryen chick?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So yeah, I mean that's interesting. I think that also plays into what I was saying before. It's a princess drama. She's a young girl, kind of like getting out there, getting drunk on her own. She was feeling frisky, got into what she wanted to do. Fair enough. There's nothing wrong with that. That's like human life. You know what I mean? That's what people do. That's what makes the show good, right? It's relatable. Anybody could go out and get drunk and do something like that when they were a young person.
Yeah, but I don't know if they're running out there with their uncle and like, all right,
Yeah,
let's do it in an alleyway.
That's weird. But we're seeing this again through the lens of medieval culture. I think then the next scene is the king calls Daemon into the throne room, and he
Hightower drops the dime on everyone first.
Right, that is true. Right, yeah. So Otto Hightower drops the dime, to the king. Go ahead.
The problem, there's like, oh god, the problem is the hand's position is just always like a shitty hand. If you think about it, there, all throughout Game of Thrones, we've watched evil hands plot evil stories. And even, Leslie was like, oh, well, Tyrion wasn't that bad. I was, really, so I think
he was just better at it than most.
Yeah. So I think with Hightower coming in and dropping this type of information, it should, like, what is the king to think now? You know what I mean? Like, do I believe my daughter or do I believe the hand who has ulterior motives? I already wed his daughter. His grandson is my heir now. Like, and now you're telling me this, like.
So I think this contradicts your point earlier where you said that Viserys is kind of like a weak king. I really don't think he's a weak king. I think
I say he's a weak king in the sense that he's not a warmongering psychopath. So people believe they could get one over on him, but it doesn't always work. He's in a hard position. He's ruled differently than anybody we've seen so far.
Yeah, I don't think you could easily get one over on King Viserys, however, because he just kind of calls him out. He's like,
no,
what kind of like self-ambition do you have here? He's like, he lays it out like he knows that there's definitely something going on with Otto Hightower. That's going on, I guess. And at the same time, this was a good episode because I felt like you didn't know where people's loyalties lie, especially Queen Alicent, right? Like, was trying to figure that out. We know obviously Otto Hightower, he has designs, right? He's trying to manipulate things and get his grandson on there. But Alicent, like, you don't know where she's at. Like, is she really loyal to Rhaenyra and the king, or is she just like her father's pawn?
Yeah.
I think that's like an interesting dynamic going on there. Next scene, Daemon basically admits to the king, contradicts Rhaenyra, and he just says, like, let me marry her. So I think for the most part, that confirms he does really like Rhaenyra this whole time. It wasn't some sort of manipulation or trying to spoil her, besmirch her, or anything like that. I don't know. What'd you think about that?
I don't know. I'm trying to think back to episode 1 when they had interactions and seeing if they were flirting a bit, or because I remember he did shoot her a few looks that were a little odd. You know what I mean? But I guess you're right in the fact that he does have, pure intentions. He doesn't give a fuck about the way things are and the culture and stuff, because he said, he's like, I'll take her as is. You know what I mean? Like, because the king's so worried now that if she's deflowered, nobody's going to want her or anything like that. So I guess, like, he is putting his money where his mouth is and he wants to move forward with that,
Yeah,
that
he's
idea. But I think it's also still like the king says, ulterior motives. It's not that you want my daughter, you want my throne.
right, right. There's always that,
Yeah.
which makes Game of
Yeah.
Thrones good, right? There's always you never know for certain.
Even though, like, oh yes, you might love my daughter, and even though it's weird that I would marry her to you, you're still doing this because the added bonus of the throne.
Right. So the next scene after this is probably historically the most interesting scene in the entire show. Viserys calls Rhaenyra to his room, and the dragon bone dagger that was used to kill the Night King and was wielded by Arya, etc., is in the fire. And Rhaenyra like goes to pick it up. She doesn't pick it up. Then later Viserys picks it up, and we see that when you put the dragon bone dagger into fire, there is writing on the dragon, which we did not. We didn't know that. That was never shown in Game of Thrones. As far as I know, I never seen something like that before. And it kind of spells out the prince that was promised prophecy, right? That there is a prince that was promised who will fight against basically the Night King and end the long night, etc. That's like the story that was supposed to play out in Game of Thrones,
that
and
they forgot about for Star Wars.
Frustrating to see them like dropping the hints of like the prophecy, and here's the dagger used to kill the Night King, and we know it didn't turn out that way. No, a Targaryen did not kill the Night King, right? So one of my theories is that this show is going to somehow connect to Jon Snow's sequel show. Maybe we'll see. Maybe they're trying to drop hints of things. Maybe Jon Snow's sequel show will still have something to do with the White Walkers and the Night King.
Right.
Perhaps they're not fully gone. Perhaps Longclaw also, if you put it in the fire, has some sort of message on it or something, right?
Okay.
Longclaw is also a Valyrian steel sword that Jon Snow has. I don't know. I think they're dropping hints. I think it's interesting, and I think it would actually be a good idea if they sort of retconned Game of Thrones with Jon Snow's show, and Jon Snow is theoretically supposed to be the prince that was promised. He's a Targaryen. He has the Valyrian steel sword. His entire life's mission was basically stop the White Walkers and the Night King, right? But he never got to do that because D&D shit the bed, the Bison Benioff file. So I don't know. Maybe these are little hints, little Easter eggs that they're going to try and fix.
A long way to go before we find that one out.
We got years to go. So after this, I guess the king, he finally wisens up and he kicks Otto Hightower the fuck out of the hand of the king.
Did they say who the new hand's going to be, or
they didn't? No.
Okay,
they didn't know. So I mean, like I said before, the king.
Do you know who it ends up being?
I don't just remember. Say yes or no. I don't remember. Honestly, there's so many details. I don't remember them all. I just remember like general plot. So yeah, I think this proves right. The king is not as dumb as you think it is, and I think also the show is sort of showing you that he is most concerned about prophecy and the long night and like this, grander purpose the Targaryens are supposed to serve over like little tiny political things and like his own
Then the Game of Thrones.
Right. Yeah. So I think
this is a good episode for the name of the show. It is the Game of Thrones. These are the things you do to get to the throne. You bang your niece, you rat out your brother-in-law. You know what I mean? Like you do these messed up things to get to the throne.
Right. But again, like the king is not playing that game for the most part. His goal is the prince that was promised, stopping the long night, etc. And it's confirmed with the very last scene where the maester comes into Rhaenyra's room and hands her an abortion tea.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Maybe because you're a viewer, you don't even realize what's going on. Remember, Rhaenyra completely denied everything to the king. This never happened. They basically, so did Alicent, right? Backed her up and said she wasn't lying. The king said, no, I know what's really happened. Don't worry. I have your back. Because the thing that matters most to him is the prophecy, is Rhaenyra being the princess that was promised, the prince that was promised, whatever. I thought that's what that scene signified. Like, it didn't even need to be said. It's like, I got your back.
Yeah.
This other stuff is more important.
We're back on track after you drink this tea.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know. What else did you think?
No, I'm with you there. I thought it was a good episode. I still enjoy the scheduled television.
Yeah.
It's just, after these long days and now we got football over here. The G-men winning today.
There we go. I thought this was fitting. Football's coming.
It's hard to sit through. So, the only part I really missed was when they kicked Otto out.
Oh, I got
So
dozed off there. Yeah.
yeah, started dozing off there.
Gotcha. Yeah. So, I mean, let's rate it. And then I have one more comment to end it. But good. What do you
Okay.
think?
I'm giving it a 7. This was for me, I gave what was it, episode 2, a lower rating because it was this drama building episode, of wits, people talking back and forth, and it didn't really captivate me, and I didn't enjoy it as much. This one, the drama was there. This was spot on. This was good drama, a good story, good writing, good character building, so I'm giving it a 7. And finally, Kristen, whatever, Christoph got to bang, so because I knew that was coming from
Kristen
episode
Cole,
1.
Christoph,
Yeah.
Kristen Cole, Sir Kristen
Yeah.
Cole. Yeah, I'll
Sir
one up you.
Kristen.
I'll give it an 8. I thought this is like they laid on the drama thick here. As
Yeah.
probably good as Game of Thrones could possibly do. It was tense. It was interesting. You didn't know whose side was who, what people's motivations were. That's what makes a show great, right? It keeps you guessing and whatnot. Is political drama. One thing I want to close it out. We are getting close to a major time jump of multiple years where
gonna be like 20
characters are going
years.
to be recast because that's
Really?
how far. Yes, and I have to hand it to Millie Alcock, who's been playing Rhaenyra. She's done a great job, and she's kind of become a fan favorite at this point, and she's about to lose her job in one episode. She's going to be replaced by Emma Darcy, who's going to be taking over as older Rhaenyra. And Emma Darcy is a professional actress, from what I've read. She's really good. So I just find it interesting that in the future, we're going to look back at the show and Emma Darcy is going to be our Rhaenyra that we remember.
Yeah.
But at this point, everyone loves Millie Alcock, the 22-year-old girl who's done it. She's done a good job. I think this is now going to like springboard. She's not really been in anything before.
Yeah.
She's going to springboard her career now.
I hope so.
Into
what
like,
has Kit Harington really done since Game of Thrones? He's done, I think, 2-3 movies, maybe.
He got typecasted. Right? Yeah. Now,
even with Marvel, he's another knight in armor.
Yes, Millie Alcock here has only done 4, probably 5 episodes, so she theoretically won't be typecasted.
Yeah.
So I think we could keep an eye out for like a really good, career for her.
Yeah.
Going forward,
Hopefully.
Definitely. Yeah. So that's it, everybody. Thank you for listening. Jimbo the Kid and I, we did actually review the Rings of Power. Also, we are going to try and review some of those as well. It's cool. 2 sci-fi fantasy medieval shows at the same time, and 2 of like the franchises that I really like. So fun time.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to review both because I damn well know every time we're talking about Lord of the Rings, it'll be Game of Thrones stuff, and every time I talk about Game of Thrones, it'll be Lord of the Rings stuff.
Yeah, that's what makes you fun.
The fantasy worlds are a little bit too similar for me.
I gotcha. That's what makes you entertaining, buddy. So
yeah.
I love it. Yeah. All right, everybody. So that's all
right. Doom Nation, thank you guys for listening. As always, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and we'll be coming this week with another 2 Doom episode. So please have a good night and peace out.